Hello and welcome back to another episode of this week's watches, and I believe this is episode 180, which is absolutely insane when I really stop and think about it. We've done 180 of these videos, and that isn't 180 drops. Well, obviously it is, but we've done a lot more than that we just haven't had a chance to maybe record a video on, or it was before I started doing these drop videos. So it's kind of insane. That's 180 weeks at least of doing this. So thank you very much. Those of you who have been around since the early days or are relatively new here, welcome. Every Saturday, 9:30 a.m. UK time, we release new watches to the website, somewhere between 8 and 12, and typically it's around 12 to be honest with you. And it varies from entry-level Seiko all the way up to some of the highest pieces you'll find from the likes of AP, Patek and so on. And I just want to say a big thank you again. It is incredibly busy at the moment, which is wonderful. And as a lot of you know, our son was born just over a month ago now, a month and a week. It's crazy how quick that's been. And we have two children. So it's a whole new world we've entered. Anyone with kids out there will understand. And you guys and girls have made the transition work-wise very easy for me. So thank you all very much for making that happen and providing me with a lot of stock. You have been selling to me, consigning with me, and also buying from me at insane rates. I can only thank you. So truly thank you very, very much. And the future is looking very exciting. So after the crazy drop last week, if you missed that one, go back and check it. There were some incredible pieces, quite a few of which have already gone. So thank you very much. This week, a bit more toned down, but still very crazy. A lot of affordable vintage, or just vintage in general, as well as a couple of affordable bits and some really interesting pieces as well, like every single week, but not as crazy. As you'll see, there is no gold on the table today, unlike last week where there was a lot of gold. But there is gold on the wrist. So what is on wrist? This is a watch I just recently picked up, which is going to be for sale. It's a gorgeous 1950s Movado bumper automatic 18 karat gold Calatrava with these beautiful lugs. It comes with a box and 18 karat gold buckle, and it's priced incredibly well, all things considered as well, especially considering the originality. That dial is gorgeous. It has really nice even patina. And a watch like this, I would happily keep in my collection if I didn't have so many bloody watches already. And I keep acquiring more, just like probably a lot of you out there, but that's part of the fun, right, is buying and enjoying these watches. So let's crack on with what you're here to see, which is the watches on the table. We're going to start with this amazing 1984 Rolex Explorer 136mm. This is a 1016, so let's take a closer look at this one. So starting this week off with a fantastic and original Rolex Explorer 136mm. This is the reference 1016. A reference that I think anyone who has any interest in Rolex is well familiar with. And this being 1984, it is obviously tritium. You have a tritium dial and tritium handset, which are beautifully aged and original. There's always a very slight colour difference between the hands and the dial. Often the hands and the dials were made in different places using an ever so slightly different tritium mix, so it's not uncommon for them to age differently. If anything, it's something you kind of look for. So yeah, really nice example. The case has obviously been polished over the years, and this is its original 1984 bracelet, which has obviously seen better days, but again is still completely usable, as you'd expect. Plain screw down case back right there, and inside is the automatic Rolex caliber 1570, and as this is circa 1984, the watch does hack when you pull out the crown, as you can see right there, and screw that crown back down. Really nice example. And the amazing thing is, years and years ago, when I sort of first started out in the trade, I used to actually get quite a few 1016s through my hands, whereas it's been a few years since I've actually had a good one come my way. The reason being, they have increased exponentially in popularity and therefore also in price, and they're just very hard to find in very good condition anymore. So this one, as I say, whilst the case has definitely been polished, is still a really nice solid example, and definitely one well worth considering if you're in the market for a nice 1016. And some of them in price have gone way over 20,000 for the right kind of examples. Now this one is obviously nowhere near that price, but again, it's kind of interesting to see how this model has taken off, whereas other models like a 1655 Explorer 2, for example, has actually remained pretty much the same, and if not, come down slightly in price over the years, whereas these don't seem to have changed much. But let's show it on wrist and talk dimensions. Here we go, comfortably on my 7-inch wrist. It goes without saying it's the perfect proportion at 36mm in my opinion. So 36mm by 43.5mm lug to lug, 12.5mm on the thickness, and 20mm on the lugs with drilled lug holes. And these Explorers do look fantastic on a range of straps as well. So go check this one out on the website today. From there over to a fitting piece, as Fears just recently released a core line of the jump hour models, whereas before that this was the only one that they did. And this is the Brunswick, the Christopher Ward Alliance with Fears, with the beautiful deep red. They only made 50, and this one is still stickered unworn. I would like to think probably the last one out there that's in this condition. There may be one more, but I highly doubt it. So let's take a closer look at this one. Now for the Fears and Christopher Ward Alliance Jump Hour limited edition of 50 pieces in this absolutely gorgeous deep red colour. And as I said in the intro, this is a stickered and unworn example. I wonder how many are left of the 50 in this kind of condition. I suspect this is probably the only one left. Obviously I could be wrong, but I suspect most of them have been worn now, and I've sold a few of these over the years since the release in 2023. So this watch is January 2023 with its box and paperwork. As I say, this is a Fears and Christopher Ward Alliance collaboration piece. So the Alliance Watchmakers is a group of watchmakers who have come together to sort of promote British watchmaking and sort of British brands. It's really great to see. And this was the first ever collaboration piece of the Alliance. And essentially Fears did the design and Christopher Ward built the watch and modified the movement. So inside is a automatic modified Sellita SW200, which creates this absolutely wonderful jumping hour. So the way it works, and by the way, there's the sticker still on the crystal, that's what the little bubbles are. As you rotate the minutes, so that's the minutes, there's no running seconds, and you pass the hours, snap over to 7. So that's 7:30, 7:45, 8 o'clock, 8:15, 8:30, 8:45, 9 o'clock. You get the idea. So a really fun way to tell the time, and Fears have just released a few more colorways as part of their core collection. So this model is now part of their core collection, making this one even more interesting in my opinion. So yeah, let's show it on wrist and talk dimensions. Here we go, on my 7-inch wrist. That is one good looking watch in my opinion. This is 40.5mm by 47mm lug to lug, 13mm on the thickness and 20mm on the lug. So slightly bigger than the 40mm Brunswick, but it wears pretty similar, to be honest, on the wrist. So go check this one out on the website today. From one Fears to another, this is a 2023 Fears Brunswick Salmon. Really great watch, definitely a watch that sort of took them to the next level, I would say. When the Salmon first came out, it was the first watch of theirs that had a waiting list, and the hype around it was insane. You know, a few of them sold pre-owned over retail. Thankfully we're not in that point anymore, and you can pick these up for an incredible price, and they're an incredible watch as well. So let's take a closer look. Now on to a gorgeous Fears Brunswick Salmon. As I said in the intro, this watch when it first came out definitely took the collecting community by storm. It's when Salmon was the hottest thing going, and obviously still is in many ways, because it's such a versatile and surprisingly beautiful colour of a watch. So this had a long waiting list. They were trading over retail for a short while, but now we're back to normal. They're available with Fears, and therefore are a very attractive price in the pre-owned market right now, so I would highly consider it if you're after one. This is the reference BS23800A, and as we flip it over, you'll see this is a later closed caseback. They used to do exhibition casebacks, so this is the beautifully spun closed caseback right there, and inside is the manually wound ETA caliber 7001, which is basically an upgraded version of the PESA 7001. This one's from November 2023. It's got its box and paperwork, original black strap, which is absolutely wonderful, signed buckle, and the watch is in very, very good condition and ready to be worn and enjoyed again. I've sold so many Fears at this point. As a lot of you know, I used to be a stockist of Fears a long while back when I was sort of branching out into stocking brands. Now I'm obviously pretty much exclusive. Well, I am fully involved in just the pre-owned watch world. It's just a personal choice after many years of doing both. I think this is just it's what I prefer. So I've had many pre-owned Fears at this point, and I will continue to have many pre-owned Fears, which is always good. So let's show this one on wrist and talk dimensions. And here we go, on my 7-inch wrist. The black contrasts very nicely against the Salmon, but I will say This watch looks fantastic on a range of straps, so this is definitely something to play around with. It's 38mm by 43mm lug to lug, only 11.5mm on the thickness and 20mm on the lugs. So endless options for this one, so go check it out on the website today. From there over to a watch that I sold a little while ago and has found its way back to me. I don't mind when that happens. Some people, you know, there's dealers out there who really don't like buying watches back or consigning watches back that they've sold. I don't really know why. Everything I sell I really like, so I'm always happy to take it back at some point, whether that be Part X, consignment, and obviously sometimes it is a return, but in this case it's just the gentleman enjoyed it for a little while and is moving on to other stuff, which is typically what it ends up being. So this is the Hublot Classic Fusion Racing Grade Titanium in 42mm, so let's take a closer look. Now on to a awesome Hublot. This is the Classic Fusion Titanium 42mm with this gorgeous racing grey dial. I can already hear the haters bubbling away going Hublot brrr, because they watch some videos where apparently you're supposed to hate Hublot. I see no reason to hate Hublot. They're part of LVMH. They're built incredibly well. They're incredibly comfortable. The designs are fantastic. I really like the design, and this whole thing of, well, it looks like X, it looks like Y. So do many other watches. And then the other point I often hear as a negative for Hublot is the fact they use Sellita movements. I have to be honest with a lot of people, I don't think they quite realise how many brands use Sellita movements, including IWC and others as their core range. There's nothing wrong with that, it's a workhorse movement, so you're not really paying for the movement oftentimes, and as we just saw with the Fizz we just looked at, that uses a Sellita movement. They're there for a reason, they're workhorse movements for a reason. So I think a lot of the hate is personally unjustified. If you don't like the watch, that's fine. There's a lot of designs that I suspect you also don't like, and that's just how it goes. So anyway, now that's out of the way, let's crack on with the watch. It comes on this fitted, really nice alligator and rubber strap, which is absolutely comfortable, and this beautiful clasp which folds open. Exhibition caseback right there, showcasing the automatic Sellita SW300-1, which is even signed on the movement base plate, so they're not trying to hide anything there. That's the other thing I want to say. You know, it's not like they're pretending they're something they're not. This is a reference 542.nx.7017.lr, and it's from July 2021 with its box and paperwork. It's in really good condition. It's obviously been worn, but nothing major, and it's ready to be enjoyed at a fantastic price as well. So let's show it on wrist and talk dimensions. Here we go, comfortably on my 7-inch wrist. As you can see, definitely fits really nice and very comfortable, especially with the titanium. So this is 42mm by 50mm lug to lug, only 9.5mm on the thickness and 22mm at the integrated part, tapering slightly down to the clasp. So go check out this watch on the website today. Next up, a incredible Elise Nardin. This is the San Marco Big Date GMT 37mm on a leather strap with its buckle. These are really great. I had an older generation model before on a bracelet with a white dial, so it's nice to have a slightly later generation with this gorgeous black dial. So yeah, let's take a closer look at this one. Next up, an Elise Nardin San Marco GMT Big Date. I've always been a big fan of these models, and I think they're massively underrated. And that's because it's an Elise Nardin, another brand that I think a lot of people don't give the time of day. And it's because of some of the watches they have made over the years are probably not to everyone's taste, and that's completely fine. But when it comes to heritage and history, Elise Nardin certainly have that, with the navigation scene as well, as hence their anchor logo. The design of this one is brilliant, and the functionality is also great. So big date over there at 2 o'clock, and you have a dual time at 9 o'clock, and you have these two buttons which are displayed as plus and minus to make it nice and easy. So what you do, let's say you land in a different country and it's 1 hour ahead, you just push the plus button, and then you see your local time moves, leaving your dual time where it was. So you can set that to your home time if you wish. You can set it to whatever you want, and off you go. And the way it works is it jumps per the hour. So let's get that in focus. You'll see the home time jumps on the hour very nicely. So that is how it works. Quick set date with a crown, which is screwed down and is a very nice sort of sapphire blue with the UN logo nicely stayed in there. Really nice stepped lugs on this one. Big polished bezel, nice black matte dial with tritium dial on and hands. As we flip it over, presented with the San Marco logo right there, and this is a reference 223-22. Inside is the automatic Elise Nardin caliber UN22, and it comes on its original strap with its original buckle, which is also very nicely done. Again, The value for money of these is ridiculous, so I would not sleep on this. This is circa 1990s, watch only, so let's show on wrist and talk dimensions. And here we go, on my 7-inch wrist, there's a couple of very faint hairline marks on the anti-reflective coating, but to be honest, you can barely see them, but a really, really great looking watch, really great size, as you can see. So this is 37mm by 44mm lug to lug, 11.5mm on the thickness and 19mm on the lug, so endless options, but I think this pairing definitely goes well. So go check this one out on the website today. And then we've got a couple of Amigas on the table. We're going to start with this really, really fantastic 1968 Amiga Constellation C case, and this is the model with the 18-karat white gold bezel, which is technically a fluted bezel, and this is a really nice example. So let's take a closer look at this. Now on to a very attractive Amiga Constellation. This is a chronometer model, and as I said in the intro, that is an 18-karat white gold fluted bezel, so very, very attractive with the slate grey dial and no lume. As you can see, date over at 3 o'clock, a nice cushion C case as we call it, and this is a reference 168.027 from circa 1968. As we flip the watch around, you'll see an Amiga sign crown, really nice strong chamfers along the case itself, and as we flip it over, the Constellation case back right there, screw down, and inside is an automatic Amiga caliber 564. The way this one works is the first position when you pull out the crown is to change the time, and the final position when you pull changes the date, so it's like a push-pull date. That's how it works, nice and simple. We paired it on a black Watch Gecko strap, which I think suits the watch beautifully. It obviously comes with no box or paperwork, but it's a really great price for a really great example. Not a huge amount more to say on these. If you're after a Constellation, this is definitely one to consider, and it won't break the bank either. So let's show it on wrist and talk dimensions. And here we go, on my 7-inch wrist. As you can see, the proportions are really, really great. A lot of people, they see the size and they get a bit worried at 34.5mm by 40.5mm lug to lug, but remember, it's a slightly cushioned case, so what that means is it wears bigger than the dimensions will lead you to believe. 10mm on the thickness and 19mm on the lugs. So go check this one out on the website today. And from that Amiga to another really great example, this is a 1974 Amiga Seamaster Cosmic 2000 automatic, 38mm with its integrated bracelet. These are just brilliant. They're built like absolute tanks, as they were sort of a monocoque system where everything sort of comes out like a pod. Really, really cool. So let's take a closer look. For a really wonderful Amiga Seamaster Cosmic 2000 automatic, this is a really great example, and as I said in the intro, it's almost like a pod construction. So this comes out of the back in a single pod, and then you have to remove the glass and everything else to basically get to the movement. A very cool and unique design. Date over at 3 o'clock, really nice tritium dial and hands, which is really clean, and a really good case and integrated bracelet, as you can see, with the folding clasp right there. This is a reference 166.135 from circa 1974, and inside this one is the automatic Amiga caliber 1012, so 1012. As always with these models, I find they can be a little bit hard to wind. So what I would say is give it a wind to get it going, set the time, and let the rotor in the back do the rest as you wear it. Some watches are just like that, or some references and models, it depends on construction and so on and so on. So as we flip it over, you can see the faint Seamaster logo there on the case back, and everything else is obviously stated on the inside. 38 million serial, which gives it the date of 1974. I often get asked with Amiga, how do you know the date? The serials are what we use to determine the date. There's basically many databases out there that have gathered together all the information over the years, especially from Amiga, with their own extracts, and the serials are sequential, so they're 27mm, 28mm, 29mm, so on, in serial numbers, and those determine the years based on production numbers. Hopefully that will make sense, and that's how we can say quite accurately what the year of an Amiga is. So let's show this one on wrist and talk dimensions. And here we go, comfortably on my 7-inch wrist. A really great looking watch, and it's got a nice size bracelet as well. This is actually loose on my 7-inch wrist, and it has a spare link, so really great example if you've got a bigger wrist. This is 38mm by 43mm lug to lug, only 10mm on the thickness and 23mm at the widest part, tapering down to the clasp on the bracelet. So go check out this really great example at a really, really good price on the website today. Now on to something that seems to finally be getting traction. You know, I've sold these for years and people are really starting to pay attention to them. And this is a 1977 Tudor Prince Oyster Date Jumbo 38mm. And this is a really nice slate grey dial, which you very rarely see. And it's got a nice solid case as well. So let's take a closer look at this one. Now for a really fantastic example, an early example, Tudor Prince Oyster Date Jumbo in 38mm with this gorgeous slate grey dial. That dial is absolutely mesmerizing, especially with that tritium lume plots and the tritium hands contrasting beautifully against it. Date over at 3 o'clock, Tudor logo at 12. Just a very attractive watch, especially if you're into the whole vintage scene, and you'll realize how rare this kind of size is for time only, because obviously it's all dial, so it makes it wear a hell of a lot bigger. So yeah, definitely for those of you with bigger wrists out there, or just those of you who like bigger watches, this is one to consider. The reference is 9080/0, and this one's from circa 1977. As we flip it around, you'll see a signed Rolex crown, as you'd expect on these early Tudors, because these were made by Rolex, for those of you that don't know. I guess we should quickly cover that. For those of you who don't know, Tudor is owned by Rolex, and essentially it was a more affordable line of the Rolexes, so that you would have the Rolex version and the Tudor version. Rolex would make the Tudor versions using different dials and more affordable movements like ETA, AS and other manufacturers at the time. So Rolex sign crown, Rolex sign case and case back, and inside is a automatic ETA 2784, which is hand winding, automatic and quick set dates. So very, very handy and nice to have. I would say, you know, value for money wise, these are fantastic at the moment, especially if you can find a really rare dial like this one, which is gorgeous. Nice strong case. You know, it's obviously been polished over the years, but it's still got some nice strong lines, and it's very, very cool. Paired it on this nice suede. Come as no surprise, I love suede straps, so let's show this one on wrist and talk dimensions. And here we go on my 7-inch wrist. As you can see, this watch has some serious wrist presence. You know, if you have a really small wrist, this might actually be a bit big for you. But if you do like a bigger watch, this is definitely the one. So 38mm by 47.5mm lug to lug, 11mm on the thickness and 20mm on the lug. So endless options for this one with drilled lug holes to make strap changing nice and easy. So go check it out on the website today. And from there to another really rare watch. This is a 1974 Hamilton Genev 6BB RAF issued military watch. 1974, for those of you that know your sort of history with these, was the first year of Hamilton taking over from CWC, and the Hamilton Genev dials, there's rumoured to only have been 700 produced total. So technically this is one of 700, or at least we believe, based on production numbers and what is known so far. And this is probably the best example I've had. The case is unpolished and it's super sharp and crisp, and the dial is absolutely perfect, as is the hands and lume. So yeah, let's take a closer look at this one. Now for one of my favourite watches, and one I have owned in the past and I would happily own again, and this example is definitely the top of the top when it comes to these beautiful Hamilton Genev 6BBs, which is the RAF issued editions. And this one's from circa 1974, so the first year of these being made. 73 sorry, was when CWC was making them. 74, Hamilton took over the contract, made some subtle changes, but this is a exquisite example with a unpolished case, original tritium dial and hands, which are beautiful and perfect. And as we open up the NATO to see the military engravings, you'll see, as you should, lowercase 6BB rather than uppercase 6BB, 1974 proudly stated there. This is just a super strong and nice example. And as I mentioned in the intro, the dials with Genev written on them, it is estimated that 700 were made in total. So this is a very rare watch when you really consider it. You know, only 700 made, and the first generation of these in general, and this condition. I just don't know how many exist out there, and it's going to get harder and harder to find them as watches like this one get snapped up into collections where they stay for a long time. And again, under different circumstances, this one wouldn't be leaving me, that's for sure. Inside is a manually wound Hamilton caliber 649, as I say, circa 1974. Fixed spring bars, Again, as you'd expect on these, but let's show it on wrist and talk dimensions. And here we go on my 7-inch wrist. It's really hard to beat these in my opinion. This is 36mm by 41mm lug to lug, only 10mm on the thickness, that's not including the NATO, so the NATO will add thickness, and 19mm on the lug. So go check out this beautiful watch and snap it up before I change my mind on the website today. From there over to a watch from the personal collection that I'm sad to see go, but as always, you know, I can't keep them all, and with having a kid, needs must, you know how it goes. This is a very, very nice and early 1940s Mido Multi-4 Extra Super Automatic, which is a bumper movement, and this is all original, unpolished case. It even has the original crystal, which has a yellow tinge to it, original big crown, everything. It is fantastic, and I will not find another one like it because I've never found another one since anyway. So let's take a closer look. Now on to one from the personal collection. It's this gorgeous Mido Super Automatic Multi-4 Extra, and this is a bumper automatic, all original, unpolished case, original crystal, which as you can hopefully see is discolored to this really awesome sort of vintage yellow, and the dial underneath is a beautiful silver, but it gives it this slight vintage tint, only radiating those hands and indices, which are all original as well. A really, really amazing example, and one, as I said in the intro, I will never be able to replace, and I'm going to totally regret selling, but needs must as always. So reference between one set of the lugs, and this is a reference 1796. As we flip it over, a nice solid Mido signed screw down case back, which again you can see beautifully unpolished, as sharp as the day it was made. And inside is a bumper automatic Mido MOD 1941. Quite an unusual and rare movement. You'll see the photos of that movement under the additional photos under the points of mention on the website, so be sure to check that out. And this watch is from the circa 1940s. I've had it worked on. It's running beautifully. Again, when I say running beautifully for a 1940s watch. Please do not expect chronometer level ratings out of a watch like this. Some deviation is to be expected when you're wearing something this old. Just keep that in mind. I think most people understand that, but I'm always amazed when I get you know, some people buy an 80, 90, even 100-year-old trench watch and are disappointed that they've lost a bit of time. Again, you know, within reason, I completely understand. And it comes back with our warranty as usual, and all that good stuff. So what else is there to say? Not a huge amount more. Again, one I'm going to regret, so just snap it up already and put me out of my misery. So let's show it on wrist and talk dimensions, because that's going to be the sticking point for a lot of people, is the small size, but I think it packs a punch on the wrist. And here we go on my 7-inch wrist. Now, if you do not like small watches and you've tried on small watches, then this obviously isn't the one for you. But if you're curious about, you know, playing around with a small watch, you're going to be hard pressed to find a better example than this one to sort of play around with. So this is 29.5mm by 36mm lug to lug, 11.5mm on the thickness, and 16mm on the lugs, with drilled lug holes to make strap changing nice and easy, but it's on a quick release strap at the moment. So go check out this watch on the website today. From there over to one of my favorite Seiko Turtles. I think the color combination works really well, and that's the Grey Dawn Limited Edition SRPD 0K1. So let's take a closer look at that one. So from the smallest watch in this week's drop to the biggest, and that is this Seiko Automatic Prospex Turtle Grey Dawn Limited Edition of 2018 pieces, and that's because this watch came out in 2018. You've got this really nice silver grey dial, grey on the bezel, and then this pop of orange. It makes it very monochromatic, but also very contrasting and bright when you add that orange, which is again on the Reholt ring, the second hand, and the bezel itself. Day date over at 3 o'clock as you'd expect, Prospex logo at 6 o'clock, and the classic turtle case with the turtle bracelet. And this one also comes with a nice rubber strap in the box. Screwed down case back with the limited edition number out of 2018 proudly stated, and this is a reference SRPD 0K1. Inside is the automatic Seiko Caliber 4R36, a movement that's been used by them for years now, and it's just an absolute workhorse. Hand winding, hacking, it sort of does everything you could want. And this one's from October 2018 with its box and paperwork and its original bracelet, plus the rubber strap as well, so endless options, and it's priced incredibly well. All things considered as well. So let's show it on wrist and talk dimensions. Here we go on my 7-inch wrist. As you can see, it's a big watch, but these turtles always wear really well and are very, very comfortable. They're actually my sort of go-to option when it comes to a holiday watch if I'm going to be by the beach or anything like that. Not that I've done that for years now, to be honest. Well overdue a holiday, but anyway, back to the watch. 44.5mm by 47.5mm lug to lug, 12.5mm on the thickness and 22mm on the lugs with drilled lug holes to make strap changing nice and easy. So go check it out on the website today. And the last watch on the table, a stickered and unused Satina DS-PH200M automatic black. This is the 43mm version, so let's take a closer look at this one. Now on to an unworn and stickered Satina DS-PH200M automatic black. This is a 43mm model from Circa 2024 with its box and paperwork, but the paperwork is unsigned because, like often happens at retailers, they just didn't bother signing it, which seems to happen far more often than it should, but hey ho. I won't bore you with the reference. This one's super long reference, you can go see it on the website, but it's got this really interesting concave sort of bezel, which makes it look like an old Bakelite bezel sloping in. Really nice striking dial with the crosshair and the gold on the inside. Again, very, very attractive. Big screw down crown at 3 o'clock, and it comes on its original mesh bracelet, which again is stickered and unused and unsized, so you'll be the first one to do it. As we push it open, I think the thread is stuck underneath. Yeah, there you go. Move that out of the way next time. There we go. Exhibition case back right there, showcasing the automatic Powermatic caliber 80611, which is an 80-hour power reserve movement. And again, I think Satina, Tissot, Hamilton, all these brands in the modern range are offering incredible watches at incredible values, and when they become pre-owned or on the secondary market like this one, the values just become undeniable, especially when you see the price of this one. So let's show on wrist and talk dimensions. And here we go on my 7-inch wrist. Now obviously it's a big watch at 43mm, but it wears really well, and I think between the mesh and maybe like a black tropic rubber, you'd be pretty set in terms of wearability. So this is 43mm by 51.5mm lug to lug, 12mm on the thickness and only 20mm on the lug, so nice and easy for swapping out with a quick release on the mesh, which is nicely appreciated too. So go check it out on the website today. So there you have it, guys and girls. That's this week's drop. Let me know down in the comments what's your favorite. Obviously the 1016 is fantastic. I don't know why I said fantastic like that. Fantastic. The Fears are brilliant. You know, every single watch on here, like every single week, I can find a reason for it to be my favorite, and often some of them end up being with me for a little while before they actually come for sale. As I say, the Mido was my own personal watch. The Hamilton I enjoyed for a little while, and I've even had the Jumbos as well. So yeah, they're fantastic watches. So let me know down in the comments what's your favorite. And next week we have another incredible drop, quite varied and quite affordable, to be honest. A lot of the pieces are sort of under £2,000. There's a couple of £100 range. So a nice varied mix with some really cool stuff. So I can't wait to bring that to you guys and girls. So we'll see you all again next Saturday. Take care.